Hello, and welcome to the history of movie theaters in Manhattan for 1854 to 1909. 1854. The Academy of Music opens. 1867. The Dailies Theater at 1221 Broadway at 30th Street opens. 1870. The Union Square Theater opens. 1875. The Eagle Variety Theater opens at 102 West 33rd Street. 1878. The Eagle Variety Theater became the Standard Theater. 1880. The Lyric Theater opens. 1883. The Herald Square Theater opens at 1331 Broadway. 'The Standard Theater closes after a fire and reopens next year. 1888. The Broadway Theater at 1445 Broadway opens on March 3rd as the safest theater in the world. 'The Irving Place Theater opens on December 1st. 1889. The 23rd Street Theater opens on March 6th. 'The Harlem Opera House at 211 West 125th Street opens. 1890. The Proctor's 125th Street Theater opens. 1891. The Fifth Avenue Theater at 31 West 28th Street opens. 1892. The Manhattan Opera House is opened by Oscar Hammerstein on November 14th at 135 West 34th Street. 1893. Keith and Albee buys the Union Square Theater. The American Theater at 260 West 42nd Street opens in May. 1895. The Lyric and Olympia Theaters at 1514 Broadway opens. 1896. On April 23, Thomas Edison starts the show The First Movies at the Manhattan Opera House. The screen measured 20 by 12 feet. The 23rd Street Theater starts to show movies. (1898) The Dewey Theater opens at 126 East 14th Street. Here are the changes for 1898. (1900) The Herald Square Theater becomes the first theater to be leased by the Schuberts. The LeFranc Theater opens on October 30th. Schley's Music Hall at 112 West 34th Street opens and renamed Savoy by the end of the year. The Theatre Republic at 209 West 42nd Street opens. It later became the Belasco and Victory Theater and remains open as a live theater. 1901. The Circle Theater at 1825 Broadway opens. The Drury Lane Theater at 615 8th Avenue opens. The Manhattan Opera House closes on July 21st. (1902) The Yorkville Theater at 163 East 86th Street opens in March. The West End Theater at 360 West 125th Street in Harlem opens. The Theatre Republic becomes the Belasco Theater. (1903) The Grand Theater at 257 Grand Street opens on February 4th. The Bon Ton at 165 East 125th Street in Harlem opens as the first theater to be designed by Thomas W. Lamb, his first theater. Mr. Lamb later went on to design many theaters for Loews and others. It was renamed Gotham later in the year. The Crystal Hall at 46 East 14th Street is opened by 1903 by Adolph Zukor, who later founds Paramount as S. Penny Arcade and Nickelodeon. The Eldorado Theater at 52 West 125th Street opens as first theater for Loews. Here's a quote: "Rent a store," Marcus Loew advised Hirsch. "Tell your wife to sew up 4 bed sheets for a screen and rent chairs from an undertaking parlor." The Hudson Theater at 141 West 44th Street opens as a playhouse. The Lyric Theater at 213 West 42nd Street opens. The Majestic Theater at 5 Columbus Circle opens. The New Amsterdam Theatre at 214 West 42nd Street opens as a playhouse. (1904) The Liberty Theatre at 234 West 42nd Street opens. (1905) The Hippodrome Theatre at 1120 6th Avenue opens in April. It featured a stage, was able to hold 1,000 performers at a time or a full-sized circus, and a 30,240-liter clear water tank that can be raised from below the stage for swimming and diving shows. The Alhambra Theatre at 2110 7th Avenue opens. The Colonial Theatre at 1887 Broadway opens. (1906) The Astor Theatre at 1531 Broadway opens on September 21st. The American Motion Picture Theatre at 133 Essex opens at an old horse stable. The Lincoln Square Theatre opens at 1947 Broadway. (1907) The Manhattan Theatre at 102 West 33rd Street is renamed the Gaines Theatre, switches to a movie and vaudeville policy. (1908) The American Music Hall, formerly the American Theatre, opens a second auditorium on its rooftop with a capacity of 1,400. It is the first twin theater in New York to offer both indoor and outdoor shows. The Dewey is leased to William Fox at a record $50 a day. The Union Square Theatre starts to show movies. The Gaiety Theatre at 1547 Broadway opens. The New German Theatre at 627 Madison opens. (1909) Helen Hayes makes her Broadway debut at age 8 at the Herald Square Theatre. On December 16th, the Crescent Theatre opens at 36 West 135th Street. The Houston Hippodrome opens at 141 East Houston Street. The Broadway Theatre at 1445 Broadway is sold to the Schuberts. Loews takes over the Murray Hill Theatre and renames it Loews 42nd Street. The Yorkville and the Lincoln Theaters is taken over by Loews. The new German Theater becomes the Plaza Theater as the Schuberts takes it over. It did not do well, and it was sold to Marcus Loew in November. The Manhattan Theater is closed and demolished for the Gimbels department store. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe.